Hi there, this is John Wilkinson again from History Made Easier, with another presentation focused on Hitler's rise to power. This time, the specific focus is on Nazi propaganda. Now, although rightly it is Joseph Goebbels who is most closely associated with Nazi propaganda, Hitler, who in the Nazi Party's early days took the leading role, was also fully aware of the potential power propaganda had. From his time in Vienna, Hitler learnt three things from the Social Democrats' success in Austria. They knew how to create a mass movement. They knew how to strike fear into the bourgeoisie. And they knew how to target their propaganda at the masses, projecting their strength with simple messages. The psyche of the great masses, Hitler would later say, is not receptive to anything that is half-hearted and weak. The masses love a commander more than a petitioner. But it was Joseph Goebbels who was put in charge of propaganda in 1930, and who, with the Nazis in power, would become Reich Minister for Propaganda and Public Enlightenment, I love that bit, in 1933, who really put propaganda to use. Goebbels knew how to project the Nazis, and he knew how to win votes, sending out countless directives to regional and local branches, as well as fresh slogans and other material. And he targeted propaganda in the form of posters, leaflets and appeals in the press, using simple slogans and unambiguous images. The Nazis also used gramophone records, that's vinyl to you, of speeches that were played off the back of trucks. Meetings were extensively advertised in advance to ensure maximum attendance. Films, shows, brass bands might play a part in their meetings in order to maximize attendance too. Speakers were trained to address different types of audience, but even so, they were carefully selected for specific audiences, and their messages were carefully tailored to address the issues that concerned those audiences. Rallies, parades and demonstrations were all playing a part too. The party rally held in Nuremberg in August 1929 was attended by 40,000 people, united in their adulation of Hitler, showing a united, disciplined party. Hitler himself, though, was the party's greatest propaganda weapon. There are countless numbers of witnesses to Hitler as a speaker that say he was simply spellbinding. He applied psychology. He developed the habit of arriving late to meetings so that the tension would build. He would then stand silent for several minutes, not easy to do when facing an audience, and starting his speeches softly, he would then build up to a furious climax that left his audience ecstatic, wild with enthusiasm. It was dramatic, it was theatre, and it was something Hitler worked very hard to develop. In the mid-1920s, he had his personal photographer, Heinrich Hoffmann, photograph different public speaking poses in order to study what worked and what didn't. The same with his wardrobe. And although he needed glasses, he refused to wear them in public. Consequently, his speeches had to be typed in large print so that he'd be able to read them. And he didn't allow photographs of him wearing glasses. He was hardly ever shown with Eva Braun, his long-time companion either, and certainly not on public occasions. Hitler had to be seen as devoted to nothing other than Germany and its people. But I want to give an example of just how focused the Nazis were when it came to propaganda, how they didn't miss a trick. By turning to the Horst Wessel song, the official anthem of the Nazi Party, sung by brown shirts as they marched in towns and cities all across Germany. In 1930, the Nazi movement gained its most celebrated martyr, Horst Wessel. In Berlin, he was at the forefront in the SA's fight against the Red Front Fighters League, even leading an attack on the Communist Party's headquarters. But Wessel was shot in a clash with communists, dying in hospital from his wounds. Goebbels made a propaganda issue out of his death, portraying Wessel as a hero, a martyr for the Third Reich, and the communists as employing criminals to attack heroes. Wessel's funeral was akin to a state funeral, with, so Goebbels claims, some 30,000 people lining the streets, and Prince August Wilhelm of Prussia at the graveside, along with Nazi leaders. However, totally unlike a state funeral, fights broke out on the fringes of the funeral procession. At the graveside, Goebbels spoke of Wessel's sacrifice in terms that likened it to Christ's sacrifice for humankind. Wessel was actually a dodgy character. A choir of SA members sang some verses that Wessel himself had written. It included the verse, "Clear the streets for the brown battalions. Clear the streets for the Storm Division man. The swastikas already gazed on, full of hope by millions. The day for freedom and bread is at hand." Not the greatest lyric, but there you go. The song was publicised throughout the Nazi movement. By the end of the year, it had become the official anthem of the Nazi movement, and Wessel, the martyr, became a cult within the party. There would be countless memorials and other ceremonies, and party members would visit Wessel sites as pilgrims. It was the same with the martyrs of 1923, I would add. And so, a brief glimpse into the many ways the Nazis deployed propaganda to attract members, win votes, and ultimately win power. It was a powerful weapon. As with all my presentations, I could provide a more detailed explanation given time. Still, I hope you found it useful. Do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and tell your friends about it. Keep me motivated. But for now, let me thank you so much for listening and wish you the very best of luck with your studies. Cheers.